In this video, I'm going to be walking you through the astrology for the week of June 18th, 2023. So we begin the week with a new moon in Gemini happening on June 17th or June 18th, and this is all relative to where you live in the world. So it's going to depend on your time zone when this new moon is going to be happening for you. But it's going to be happening at 26 degrees of Gemini. And so when we have a new moon, the sun and moon are holding hands together. They're joining up together in the sky, and it is a new beginnings. New moons are that point in the lunar cycle when we begin again. We start fresh, we set our intentions, we go inside ourselves, and we plant those seeds that we want to manifest. These could be dreams, new ideas coming through. It's a time where there's the least amount of darkness, and there's not a whole lot of reflection. So we're going inside ourselves. We're having quiet new beginnings during new moons, and so Gemini is an air sign. We're talking mutable, so it's very changeable, very adaptable. Mutable signs change seasons, so it's never staying on the course. It's always sort of, let's go over here, let's go over there. It's very adaptable in nature. So this new moon has a lot to do with new ideas coming through, learning new information, because Gemini is about information. It is about pulling things from over here and over there and being open and receptive. It's just that genuine, childlike, innocent curiosity to learn new things, and to take in information and to collect new data, to collect new thoughts. So this also deals with, the things that we tell ourselves, the narratives that we tell ourselves, how we're speaking, how we're communicating. Is it honest? Is it true to ourselves? Is it kind? What do we mean when we speak? And are we socially connected with the people in our world? So setting an intentions and beginnings that deal with anything having to do with, communication, writing, speech, writing a book, starting a YouTube channel, anything that is communication related, this would be good to initiate at this time. And so, so asking questions about our life, noticing the things around us, noticing the people around us, the situations that we're living in, and are they truly serving us? What must we change and let go, let fly away from our lives? And that's more of a full moon thing. But anyway, full moons are endings that make room for those new beginnings. So Gemini is an air sign that we can, what are we telling ourselves? We're writing our stories. Anything having to do with breath work, getting the mind connected in a healthy, loving, grounded place, and being very deliberate in terms of our speech, and looking at communications in general. Although this is not very in-depth, but anyway, what's so unique about this new moon is that it's squaring off with Neptune and Pisces. It's 27 degrees of Pisces at the time of this new moon, so it's almost right there. So this square from the sun and moon can present self-doubt, feelings of self-doubt, feelings of beating ourselves up and not loving and accepting ourselves for who we are. And the key with this is to know that you are enough, to accept yourself with peace and love and serenity as you are, and to be kind to yourself, to be gentle with yourself during this time. We can feel less motivated to get things done. We're less. With a square to Neptune, one of the downsides of Neptunian energy is escapism, because we want to escape to other worlds, escape to other lands. We don't want to come back down to the earth plane of existence. So, attending to details, attending to what is going on in our everyday reality may be more difficult, especially because Gemini is sort of the fork in the road sign. It deals with options, it deals with choices, the choices that we make, and seeing different sides of a given issue. And so we might want to be very careful because it is a square, it's difficult energy. There's friction, there's a challenge with the Sun squaring Neptune. We're being very mindful about the decisions that we're making during this time, being very deliberate about them. When we want to initiate something, when we want to make a choice, it's going to be good for us to go inside, reflect inside ourselves with our intuition, meditate, and see, is this decision truly right for us? Does it feel right for us? Or is it based off of, ego or, something else, or based off of other people and it's not true to us, etc. So we may also, so it's an opportunity to consider the choices that we are making and to make choices that are a balancing act of Gemini, the mind, logic, and Neptune, intuition, our emotions. How does it feel? I was watching a video on the new moon in Gemini by the astrologer Rebecca Goldsmith, and she was talking about the choices, really considering the choices that we're making with the Sun squaring Neptune. And the Moon squaring Neptune. I also think that anything that we can do for becoming more humble, for recognizing, seeing, our flaws, not judging ourselves, but just observing what our flaws are and taking the steps necessary to improve, to sort of take the heater and do something to it to make it at a better state so that it's stronger. To sort of look around and see what we can improve in our life. So it's not perfectionism. We're not, falling into perfectionism where we feel like we're not enough, but we can see where we can improve. What can we reach toward? What can we strive toward to become better and to grow? Because squares are about growth. They, are ultimately about that. So we can become really deluded with this, very confused, very, there's just a fog with Neptune. It's very nebulous. It's just, unclear, kind of murky. Where we're not seeing things clearly and there could be misunderstandings, and we need to make sure that we are on point and on the ball and listening very carefully to what the other person is saying before we make a move, before we respond, before we take action and initiate something, sit on it. Like a mother is pregnant with a baby before it comes out. And this also corresponds to Mercury square Neptune. And I would say both Sun square Neptune and Mercury square Neptune are both in the same boat as terms of not good for negotiations, and those kind of things like that. Looking for any confusion or delusion in relationships. Because I also think this deals with idolizing somebody or not seeing them for who they are, not facing the reality of, this is going on in my life, this was the past, this is happening now. It's about seeing both the light and the dark and acknowledging things for what they are, getting out of denial, getting out of wanting to escape because of how, harsh, how sensitive that we may feel, how negative it is. Instead of wallowing in that negativity, what can we do about it? And that involves seeing things as they are. It's a deep time where we may feel like we want to be alone. We want to go into self-reflection. We want to be by ourselves. That's also something with this new moon energy. And permission to do that during this time. So moving on to June 19th, we have a sextile of Jupiter and Saturn. So sextiles are positive aspects where we have, let's say we have earth and air, or earth and water together, air and fire together. So signs that sextile each other, for example, would be Aries, Gemini, Aries, Aquarius. So that would be a sextile. Aries and Libra would be opposite each other because it's 6 signs apart. So 2 signs on either side of that given sign that we're talking about, that would be a sextile. 2 signs before, 2 signs after. So Jupiter is in Taurus. It's been in Taurus since May 16th, where it's about security, stability, luck, growth, and abundance, especially in the financial realms, really taking the slow and steady steps to achieve something, being very grounded in our approach, and it is about knowing what is important to us and moving in that direction. And then Saturn in Pisces has been going on, and Saturn's retrograde, actually. And Saturn goes retrograde on June 17th, and Saturn in Pisces is about creating structure and creating form and healthy boundaries to our spirituality. Healthy, are we going to be compassionate and empathetic? Are we going to sort of work out, go to the gym and develop our compassion and empathy, but not in a way that we are being drowned out or we're being soaked down by all these heavy emotions and by the victimization that we may be feeling lots of hope. That's another aspect of this. So, spiritual practice is getting grounded. Taking these ethereal spiritual concepts and bringing them down to form. Because that's what Saturn wants to do. It wants to create form to whatever it touches. It wants it to be structured. It wants it to be stable, in place. That's what it wants. That's a Saturn energy. And Saturn's a malefic energy, but it can do us all a lot of benefit with helping to really, solidify our lives and our life experience. So, Jupiter, very benefic, growth like expansion, Saturn, boundaries, discipline, commitment to our goals, etc. With this sextile, and going back to the sextile, it's opening up a window for our opportunity where the 2 signs can work together. Taurus and Pisces are 2 signs apart. It's positive energy, but it's a good opportunity for action. Where we take action is where the goodness lies. So this could be growth and opportunities. We have a lot of optimism, a lot of faith, but we're pragmatic about it. We have good judgment. Okay, this decision or this goal looks good, but what about X, Y, Z? What about these little details over here? What about, is this sustainable? Is this functional? Does it work? Is it practical? Will this give me the results that I'm really looking for? So all these questions that are sort of floating about in our minds may become because Jupiter is also likes to ask those big questions and likes to understand why this is how it is, and really finding the higher meaning in all things. So anyway, that's Jupiter. But Jupiter presents the opportunity. We can see we're very optimistic, and we can see the potentials and the opportunity. How can we grow from this? What can we do? How can we expand? How can we shoot our arrow up somewhere and then catch it down? This new, Jupiter brings those new possibilities for us. And then Saturn brings discipline and balance things out, levels things out, and makes us more realistic. So this is also an aspect for seeing things as they are, to make a choice and have good judgment. This is also where you can initiate a goal, especially coming out of the new moon in Gemini. Now, when the new moon in Gemini is over, and we're done with that sort of meditative, reflective, internal process, we can go out and take action, and we can have confidence, and we can have that commitment and the discipline and the stick-it-to-itness to achieve our goals and get them done. We're getting things checked off our list, doing something, completing it, seeing it through. All those things may be very rewarding at this time. This is a great time to get something done with gusto and enthusiasm, to get it done, to commit to it, to put form to it, to get the results, to to work very hard so that you gain the rewards after. And probably working towards a long-term goal. Since we're talking about Saturn, it deals with the long term, the long haul, especially how long it spends in a given sign. So planning our long-term goals, because the Earth lasts for the long term. Buildings, they're not, you don't build a building just so that it can be torn down in a number of days, don't you? You build a building for long-term purposes, especially after, going through all that work to build it. So you're sticking in the long term of things, because you want it to last. What's the purpose of building this building? Why am I doing this? What is the function, and why am I building this building? What is it? Is it a resource? What kind of practical actions things can be done in the building? So you basically get it. So that's my tie-in there. Jupiter is also very optimistic. As I said, Saturn can on the downside, it can be pessimistic and becoming very negative. So we can see sort of the two sides, the good and the bad, and together we can meet in the middle, and we can make those good decisions, and we can gain wisdom through that hard work that we do. Because I also think that Jupiter and Saturn are about wisdom, but in different forms. So Jupiter is more, through growth, expansion, fun, travel, joy, learning, new opportunities, etc. Saturn is through facing challenges, having healthy boundaries, having discipline, being very committed, and putting in the hard work and learning those hard lessons through, again, hard work, trial and error. So through this achievement of our goals comes wisdom with this. Now, the other thing that is happening this week is on June 21st, which is summer solstice, and it marks the beginning of Cancer season. So the sun's going to be entering Cancer. It's going to stay there until July 22nd, which is a significant day, by the way, because Venus is going to go retrograde in Leo. I'll talk more about that when we get closer to that time. But June 21st in the northern hemisphere marks when the light is at its highest. And at the southern hemisphere, it's where there's the most amount of darkness and the least amount of light. So there's more night than day, if you will. In the northern hemisphere, there's the most amount of day than light. The sun is sort of at its point of exaltation. Its peak, and then it's going to start slowly descending, and the light's going to get less. It's going to get darker, gradually earlier until we balance things out at the fall equinox, when we have the light and the dark, the day and the night at equal measure, or the sun spending an equal amount of time up, awake, shining bright in the daytime. The sun is going to be up, for an equal amount of time in the daytime, and then an equal amount of time at night. So the day and night are balanced out. But so this is a solstice, and these are times of going inside, or times of celebration. There's all pagan traditions. It marks the beginning of seasons. It ushers in summer here in the north, winter in the southern hemisphere. Must be interesting to have Christmas on the beach with kebabs and shrimp on the barbie and things like that. Anyway, this is solstice, and it's Cancer. Cancer is a cardinal signs. Big new beginnings. It's about taking the lead, and having a fresh new energy. This is what cardinal signs are about. And Cancer initiates anything having to do with home, family. So the sun's going to be in Cancer. We can really connect deeply to our innermost feelings during this time. We can become more emotionally sensitive, more compassionate, more loving, more attuned to our small environment of our family, of the people in our world, and we can nurture them. What makes us feel emotionally nurtured, comfortable, emotionally secure. And Cancer is a sign of home, and that can be a state of being, with feeling at home. As home is a place where you hang your hat, etc. So that was a saying that I heard. So the sun in Cancer energy is about looking at the past as well. So family, looking at the emotional nostalgia, and spending time with our family, really feeling our feelings and allowing ourselves to be tender, soft, vulnerable, kind, emotionally transparent, allowing ourselves to ride those emotional waves for the next 30 or so days that the sun is in Cancer. Now, on the summer solstice, we have an aspect. It's a sextile between Mercury and Mars, and on this particular day, it can help with us communicating more honestly, more bluntly. We can become more honest, more determined to speak our truth, determined to speak what's on our mind. We can also really put ourselves in a state of being where we are driven, where we are determined to get this thing done, where we can, apply ourselves to a task, and, where you can do anything if you put your mind to it, and you can have a lot of drive and mental focus with doing whatever it is you need to do, because Mars gives you that adrenaline, that motivation, that energy to pick things up, get something done. with that sextile. Um, and so we may be feeling more courageous in terms of our speech and actions, unafraid to, speak our truth, to say what's on our mind and our heart. So this can help with anything having to do with relationships, speaking up about issues that are bothering us, being honest about what you really want to say in this speech for this company that you're presenting to. Whatever it may be, it gives you a permission slip to be honest. And when we look at an astrological season, or when the sun, the light that shines down upon the earth, and the sort of focus for the next 30 days or so that we have to work with. The crab symbol is emotional security. It's emotionally tender, going beneath the sand and having the waves sort of come upon you, and sort of being afraid of what's going on in the outside world. So we want to nestle down. We want to be emotionally secure and comfortable and at home. Cancer really looks at our comfort zone, looking at our home environment. Do we feel emotionally secure out of that home environment? Yeah. So very close to our friends and family, we can stand up for them if we need to. Cancer corresponds to the fourth house. It's ruled by the moon. Yeah, we can lay our emotional foundations at this time. And so, so that is really what is going on for Cancer season and the astrology for the week of June 18th, 2023. I would appreciate it if you would hit subscribe and, help the channel to grow, because one more, person can, grow the channel. Like this video so it gets out to more people. Share this if you find value and you want to share it with somebody that you know that you care about that would be interested in this information. And I hope that you have a great day and a great week. Bye, everyone.